Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 38 of the Computer Business Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Kabuto. Bring customers back to your repair shop with Kabuto by RepairTech. To learn more, head over to kabuto.io. This episode is also brought to you by IT Pro TV. A good IT Pro is always learning, and IT Pro TV is the resource to keep your IT skills up to date with engaging and informative video tutorials. For a free 7-day trial and 30% off the lifetime of your account, go to itpro.tv and use the promo code CBP30. In today's episode, Paco and I will discuss our plans and goals for 2016. We also talk about the cool tech gifts we got for Christmas. We answer an email about the technicalities of setting up a computer drop-off service. And in the toolbox, Paco talks about a tool he uses to keep his client equipment organized. All that and so much more coming up right now.
Welcome to the Computer Business Podcast, where you'll learn how to start and grow your own successful computer business. And now, here's your friendly neighborhood computer guy, Matthew Rodella.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 38th episode of the Computer Business Podcast. I am Matthew Rodella, a.k.a. your friendly neighborhood computer guy.
And I'm Paco LeBron.
And this is the podcast where you can learn to start and grow your own successful computer business. You can find all the links mentioned in this episode at computerbusiness.com/episode 38. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes using your favorite podcatcher using the links provided. Also on that page, in the sidebar, you can subscribe to the Your Friendly Neighborhood Computer Guy newsletter, a monthly digest of tips and tricks for growing your computer business. When you signed up, you'll also get a free copy of my ebook, 20 Things You Can Do Right Now to Improve Your Computer Business. The book contains 20 practical tips to help you take your computer business to the next level. All that for free as our way of saying thanks for being a listener and a subscriber. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. We have links to all of our social media profiles on the show notes page. All right, guys, welcome back to a brand new year. This is 2016, the first episode of the Computer Business Podcast of 2016. Hope you all had a relaxing and fun-filled holiday break with your family. Hopefully your clients let you take a break. Luckily for me, my client work was pretty slow during the holidays, so it was a good time to be able to catch up on other stuff and spend time with the family and do all that stuff. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Paco LeBron. How are you doing, Paco?
Doing fantastic, Matt. How are you?
Excellent. Yes, can't complain. How was your Christmas?
It was good. Yeah, like you mentioned, December was a little slow for us. We did about half the turn of what we usually do, so gave us a lot of time to relax, reflect, and also plan for what's coming up in the new year. But no, it was great. It was relaxing. Enjoyed it with the family, food, got some awesome gifts. So it was all good.
Cool. Yeah. So the topic of the show is going to be about goals for the new year. And we're just basically going to talk about our goals for the new year. So Paco's going to talk about what he's got lined up for 2016 in his business. And I'm going to talk about what I got lined up for my business in 2016. We'll kind of talk about how we go about setting goals for the year and that sort of thing. Hopefully you guys, by listening to that, can get some inspiration from our goals. And we'll see how that goes. We'll also talk about the future of the podcast and the tech site builder and all of that good stuff. So definitely stick around for that. But before we jump into that, so I'm just curious, you said you got some cool Christmas gifts. So did you get anything geeky or anything cool like that?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Do tell.
So it's a funny thing because every year, and I kind of figured it out where I add things to my wish list on Amazon and I kind of go back to it so I can get it later. So I've come to find out that my sister now has found out my email address that list is linked to. And that's how my family has been getting me my Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, etc. So nice. This year they actually got me the Amazon Echo. So, and that cool. thing is slick. And when I tell you that thing is slick, that thing is slick. And I mean, so it was one of those where I knew that I would never get this thing as a purchase for something I need, or this is a pure want. And boy, do I love every minute of it. I mean,
So for folks who don't know, and I'm sure most people listening to this know because we're all kind of geeks at heart and stuff, but what is the Amazon Echo exactly if people don't know what it is?
So the Amazon Echo is basically kind of this tube and this tube of electronic, and it's basically essentially a virtual assistant per se. But it does all kinds of great things. And what it does is it does everything from, and it's voice recognition, it does everything voice recognition. So
it's like basically a speaker tube that you just sit on a desk somewhere and you can talk to it and it talks back to you basically.
Yep, exactly. You can use it as a Bluetooth speaker so you can connect your phone and stream whatever through it. You can ask it to do things. So like you can play back anything on your, if you, excuse me, if you purchase any music from Amazon, it'll play your library. It gives you access to Amazon Prime Music. It also gives you access to a lot of the TuneIn and Pandora stations without you having to do anything of logging in with any credentials. It just does it. And nice. It's one of those where once you mention its name, and I'm not going to mention it now because then mine's going to go off in the background. But basically, when you mention the Echo's name and you ask it as any type of question, it's great when it to setting to alarms, being able to ask for what the weather is, especially with as far as the time. And every time where I'll miss an alarm on my phone, or in the beginning I didn't set any alarms on the Amazon Echo. So when I was would wake up, I literally would just mention Echo, what is the time, and it would just tell me what the time and what the weather is outside as well. So
where do you put it?
So I have it on my nightstand in the room right now because that was the only place I could think of where it would fit. But I'm definitely going to get one in the kitchen because it really has helped out with a lot of, because of, as we mentioned, since the health episode, I've been really using my crock pot and slow cooker lately, and being able to do the measurements haven't been really the easiest. So it was one of those where I had to convert a couple of times, and I would literally just ask it how many, ounces in milliliters and et cetera. And it just grabs it and with no problem.
So how different is it than just asking Siri or OK Google on your phone?
So basically it's very hands-free. So you don't have to pick up your phone and make sure that it's unlocked. And I know that with a lot of people with Marshmallow, if your phone is not locked, you can pretty much say OK Google. But for those that have it locked, you won't be able to really ask it in that way.
Right.
Also with the iPhone, it has to be plugged in and you got to say, hey, Siri, and so forth and so on. With this thing, the voice recognition is so great. I mean, it's up to par with Google's that they have on that part. And it's still a little limited on certain things. And there's still some apps you can integrate to it. But there's a lot of great automation you can do with the Internet of Things. So basically, if you get any of the smart light bulbs, home systems, I mean, there's so many things that this thing connects to from what I was researching is making me want to expand on how to get this Echo running for me, because I'm all about automation. Right. And it's one of the slickest things I've had in quite some time.
Automation for your computer business and for your home.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Cool. Now, man, you're making me want to get one now. And you're right. It's like one of those things you don't need it, but it sounds like once you have it, you can't live without it.
Oh, it's great. It's one of those where, I mean, I've and she's going to hear this podcast. I've driven my girlfriend up the wall with this thing because every time that I mention or I start doing something, she's like, are you just that lazy that you can't pick up the phone next to you to do it? I was like, no, because there's no effort. I just have to say the name and it just happens. That's exactly how I love things to happen. So nice. Yeah, no, it's a great thing. It's a great tool.
Cool. Yeah. So, oh man, I'm going to have to get one of those.
Oh yeah. And then we got it right at when it was on sale too. It's more from my understanding. So they had a sale on these things. So if it's a pure want for you guys, definitely pick it up. I think we even mentioned this in our in one of our articles that we had previously. I have to attest, this is probably one of a very good gift that I got.
So, and a cool thing that someone could try out who has a storefront, if you have a computer shop with a storefront, is get one of these things, put it in your shop, and have it be something that your technicians can use. If they have a quick question, they can shout it out to the Echo, or, if they need to, if you want to play some music on your workbench while you're working on computers, you can use it for that. And it could also be kind of a conversation piece for people who come into your shop, for customers and clients to have kind of a cool new technology, because not a lot of people know about the Amazon Echo. It isn't really advertised that much,
Right.
and that would definitely be kind of a cool thing to have sitting on your counter at your storefront.
Yep. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It would be a great conversation setter, and it just has so many uses for it too. And anything that you just can't do with the Echo, you can always pair your phone and stream whatever you'd like through the Echo as well.
Cool. Yeah. So for me, I got a couple cool geeky things for Christmas. The first thing was a PlayStation 4, which is
Nice.
it's been out for a while, but I've still had some games for the 3 that I've been trying to get through. So I got the 4, and I'm not like a hardcore gamer, but I definitely to blow off some steam or whenever I just have some free time and I don't feel like I'm kind of burnt out from work, I'll jump on the PlayStation and shoot some zombies or whatever.
Nice.
So I got that. But the other cool thing I got was the Very Desk, which we talked
nice.
about in the past episode where we were talking about health stuff. The Very Desk is just something you could put on your existing desk, and you could put your monitor and keyboard on it, and then you can lift it up to stand and work while you're standing, and then put it back down to sit down if you need to. So I got that. I actually haven't set it up yet because I needed to get a new desk for it, because the existing desk I have is already tiered. So it has like a second tier for my monitor and then a lower tier where I have my keyboard and stuff. And it doesn't quite work with the Veridesk system, which is fine because I needed a new desk anyways. This desk is old and just a particle board and kind of falling apart. So
yeah,
So I just grabbed a desk from IKEA, just a flat desk, and I'm going to put the Veridesk on it. I'm going to hopefully set that up this week, and then I'll let you guys know how it is. But it looks like definitely it's going to be cool, and we'll see realistically how often I do stand up.
I was just going to ask you that too, if
Right.
you had a good use to it. But since you mentioned, we got to reach back, we got to circle back and ask you how that's going.
One thing I definitely want to do is do the podcast standing up, because I've heard from folks who record podcasts, when they do it standing up, they have more energy and they're kind of into it a little bit more. And so we'll see if doing that helps a little bit. So yep, those were kind of the two geeky things I got for Christmas.
Nice.
So how's your New Year's?
New Year's was good. Very calm. Just ringing in with my with the folks, and had my daughters. So we normally just have a regular routine where we go over their house, and we just very, very superstitious of me. I just like to ring in the new year and go into the new year with my family. So all together. So there hasn't been a new year that I've missed with them. So that's kind of what our tradition has been. And it was a lot of, again, great food, a lot of great laughs, and it was just great. It was all around good, wholesome fun.
Nice. Yeah. And that's pretty much exactly what I do for New Year's normally also, is I go up to Ohio, and I have some extended family members in Ohio, and it's kind of a central meeting point for all the family to fly in or drive in from wherever they are. So we have a huge family get together for New Year's in Ohio. But this year I didn't do that. This year I was a crazy person and decided to go to New York City, to Times Square, to watch the ball drop in, at ground zero, basically, of New Year's.
Nice.
Yeah, I posted a picture of it on Facebook, and I said, I'm in the belly of the beast. That's truly what it felt like.
So for our listeners, because we always hear this all the time, and for those who haven't gone there, is it like they say it's just an experience? You just cannot, you have to experience this type of thing?
Well, okay, it is an experience. I'm not necessarily going to say it's something that everybody has to do. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for anyone with health problems or anything. Because, okay, so here's the deal, right? You head to Times Square, and you have to get there early. In fact, we got there around 4:00 in the afternoon, and that was too late to get anywhere really near Times Square. So we ended up being about 5 blocks down. I don't remember the street, but there's, the two streets that make an X, that at the middle of the X is Times Square. And then one of the legs of that X is where we were.
Okay.
And we were about 5 blocks down. And so we got there at 4:00 and we're walking towards Times Square, and they already have it blocked off up to the 5th block out, which means they've already filled up all the spots up to that point. And shout out to the NYPD, who are so organized with this. I mean, I guess they've done this so often, they know what they're doing. But I mean, everybody, there's no day off on New Year's Eve. That's for sure. You could tell everyone in the force was there, and they were directing people to these, I would almost call them animal, like animal pens. Like they would pin you up every block. They would have the barricades that they would barricade you off in the middle of the street in the block. And then once you were there, you were stuck there. So you couldn't leave. If you would leave, you couldn't get back in. Ooh. So you were, whatever time you arrived there and whatever pen you were pinned up in, you were stuck there for however many hours until New Year's. Ooh. So you have to have endurance, because we were there for 7 hours, and it was pretty miserable, especially the last few hours.
Oh God! So it just sounds like a real bad like Black Friday that brings me back. But
waiting in line, for Black Friday, like camping out. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and it was cool because they had like the Domino's pizza, and some pizza guys were walking around selling pizzas to people, and they had some hot chocolate guys walking around with boxes of hot chocolate selling them. So those guys were making a killing selling all that stuff. And it was, but once the cool thing is you're in this pen with all these other people, so you're kind of in it together, right. And you're getting to know all these other people, and then finally, when the ball drops, it's a huge. And the other thing I didn't know is every hour they count down every hour. So starting at 6:00, there's a countdown for every hour up to New Year's. So it's like everybody's counting down every hour, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way to 1. Nice. Every hour on the hour. So there's something for everybody to do, and then finally, at midnight, the confetti goes and the fireworks go off, and kind of anticlimactic. I mean, that's all there is. It's just a countdown and then a big boom, and then that's it. And then they open up the streets. Yeah, they open up the streets after that, and everyone just goes crazy, and it's kind of pretty crazy after they open everything up. But definitely an experience that I can check off the bucket list and tell my grandkids about, and all that good stuff.
Nice.
I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, but if it's something you want to do, definitely do it sooner. The younger you are, the easier it's going to be on you. But that was a fun experience to ring in the new year, and hopefully the rest of the year will be as cool as that.
Nice.
So another thing I wanted to mention before we jump into the rest of the episode is Paco actually forwarded this article to me. And this is an article written by the VAR Guy at thevarguy.com. And he writes, articles about, for managed service providers, about IT, about, the managed services channel is what they call it. And one article he wrote about was based on something that happened at ChannelCon, where we were all in one of the breakout sessions, and they had a panel of people up at the front of the stage talking, and one of the guys made a comment about how the solo technicians who are just working by themselves, who he called the man in the van, basically someone working out of the back of their car, like a lot of us are, he was talking about how those guys were kind of bringing down the industry as a whole, how they were giving MSPs and IT service providers a bad name because they were charging super low rates. They were doing subpar work, and they were trying to make themselves look like big IT firms, so that to the customer, they couldn't tell the difference between a big MSP provider and a man in the van, other than they get horrible service, but they're cheaper, the man in the van side. So that ended up being kind of a big controversy afterwards, where one of the guys, if you guys listen to the Podnuts podcast, you guys know Marvin B. He hangs out over there a lot, and he's a guest on the shows over there a lot. And he is a solo entrepreneur, like a lot of us are, and he runs his computer business by himself as a one-man show. And he was with us, and he actually approached the guy who made the comment during the session to kind of vent to him and say, hey, there's a lot of us men in the vans here actually listening, and we care about having, making ourselves be a legitimate business and doing a good job and providing a much needed service to the kind of people who can't necessarily afford to go with a big MSP shop. And we're also we provide a little bit more of a personalized service and that sort of thing. So, that there was kind of a back and forth with that and a whole thing. So now the VAR guy writes an article about it. He actually, talked with Marvin and a couple other solo technicians. And the cool thing about this article is he's kind of bringing to light this issue and mentioning the fact that solo technicians, guys who are working just by themselves, might actually be doing that not because we don't have the experience or because we're not able to grow our business. We might actually be doing that because we want to, because we see a need for this solo technician who is who can be very flexible, who can be very personal with the clients, who can still be very successful and who can do really good work. As that is a legitimate way to run your business. So I just wanted to bring attention to this article because I think it's a good for us to read the viewpoint of someone who works more with the bigger MSPs and see that they are recognizing us solo entrepreneurs and the smaller computer business shops as they're starting to recognize that we are not just the man in the van who is the pizza tech is what we call them a lot in the forums and stuff. The guys who are, just trying to undercut everybody and they don't really know what they're doing, or they're fly by night, which means they don't have a legitimate business set up. They don't have insurance and any of that stuff. The article is showing that we are a legitimate contender in the space, that we deserve to be taken seriously because we are actual legitimate competition to some of the other MSPs, and we're not necessarily bringing down the industry by doing what we're doing. We have a legitimate business model, being a solo technician offering good service. Most of us are members of Ackerbo, which is an association that tries to instill good work ethic, good values among smaller shops like us. And so it's just cool to see that we're finally getting some recognition in the bigger circles, and that some folks we know like Marvin B. and Eric Dreyer Goldman are getting quoted in this article, and that it is a legitimate business. You can be a solo technician for your entire career, and that's fine. And that's you can be successful, and you don't necessarily need to hire employees. You don't necessarily need to be a huge MSP shop or expand to be happy and successful, especially in this day and age where you can outsource a lot of the stuff you need done. You can white label a lot of the stuff you need done. You can optimize a lot of the stuff you need done, and you can do the work of the bigger shops as a solo technician. So I'll have a link to that article in the show notes. Did you have any comments on that, Paco?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, it's one of those where this article really speaks on how we're getting the recognition, the acknowledgement that we do have a rightful place in this space. And, like they also mentioned in there is that, Marvin wasn't always a solo tech. He actually had a company. He was he had employees. He was a big company at one point, and he decided to slim down because he just felt that it made more sense for him, and with the amount of technology and the way of his setup, that he could take his business to the next level. So as a single tech, he's really far along where he wants to be in his business. And that's a big key point to let our listeners know, is that you don't have to scale out to be, to contend with what everyone calls the big boys. As long as you know your niche, you provide that great work and that good work ethic, you're going to get to where you want to go. And now that we're getting some acknowledgement in here, hopefully it makes things a little bit easier for us to get our story across as legitimate business owners.
And I think, CompTIA and ChannelCon was kind of, touching on that in the conference, and they're starting to recognize that the solo technicians are valued members of their group, and a lot of us went to that conference, and they acknowledged that we were there, and we have a lot to offer, and so don't count us out. And the same, the same thing is with me in web services and web development. The same thing applies. There's the big web development firms that you can go to. There are the fly-by-night guys that are on Craigslist that aren't really serious. They're just trying to make a couple extra bucks. They might not end up sticking around after they build you a website, and then you'll be stuck not knowing what to do or how to update it. And so I kind of fill the gap in between, where I'm not a fly-by-night guy, but I'm also not a huge web development firm. And I can kind of fill that spot in the middle. And I think that's what a lot of us solo technicians and solo computer business owners can do. We can fill that spot in the middle to cater to higher level consumers or smaller businesses, and fill that spot in between the big guys and the not so small, too small guys, Right. So cool.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So guys, check out that article. It's definitely a good read. Links in the show notes. Okay. So we got some emails for this episode. So let's check out the email.
It's time to check the Computer Business Podcast mailbox.
All right, so the email we have today was actually an email that was written to directly to Paco. So I'll have Paco, you can go ahead and read this one.
Yeah, definitely. So email was from Brian McDermott. He went ahead and sent the email through on my site here, and the email reads, "Hi, Paco. I apologize if this is not the best way to contact you," which it is. So if anyone does want to contact me, you can always contact me via the website or email me at paco@yfncg.com. But either way, it's fine. It'll come to me. So I apologize if this is not the best way to contact you, but I was listening to you on the Computer Business Podcast, and you mentioned the PC drop-off service you have. I'm thinking of doing something similar for a VFW as a cross between promotion and fundraiser for the Post in the suburban Philadelphia region. I had some questions if you have some time. Do the businesses you use as the drop-off points make your customers sign a waiver to clear the business to clear the business of any liability, or do you have that included in your work requests? What type of insurance or coverage do you use to cover the transportation or storage of the PCs? Is it too much to ask if you sent me a copy of the form you use? Do the customers contact you before dropping off, or is the information collected when the PC is dropped off? Thanks so much for your time, and have a happy new year, Brian McDermott. So it's a bit of a loaded email, so I'm going to try and break it out as best I can for everyone listening. So the first part of him asking, as far as does the businesses, and he's referring to Regis. Regis is the businesses that I rent my virtual offices from. And if anybody hasn't heard my previous episode, kind of explaining virtual offices, is basically a business that allows you to use their location's address and their facilities for your own business purposes. And basically, if they have me sign any type of waiver to clear the business of any liability, and yes, they do. Regis, with the agreement between me and them, there's a waiver in there that absolves them from any liability from accepting any PCs and desktops on their behalf. In turn, I also include in my work releases that we try to do as best we can when it comes to data, when it comes to the operating systems, things of that nature, and as far as working on those PCs. And the work request I use is from the Technibble Computer Business Kit, which you'll be able to find the URL on the YFNCG website, and we'll also put that in the show notes as well. But I use a majority of their work requests to kind of modify my sheet which is what I sent over to Brian as well. But in there, it kind of states that. Now, the other piece to this is like physical damage. If I drop the machine, if the machine somehow, physically was damaged, then that goes into his next question of what type of coverage or insurance do I have to cover the transportation or storage of the PCs. I actually have general liability and errors and omission, but for this purpose, I have the general liability policy. And that what that basically does is that allows me to, in the event that, like I mentioned, if I happen to drop the machine or if it got damaged through transportation or storing it, that will help protect me in resolving that claim with the customer and getting him or repairing or making sure he is taken care of with a new PC or getting it taken care of as best as possible. And then as far as him asking for the copy of the forms, I did send that over, as I mentioned. When we collect the information on those forms, normally our customers will call us before they stop by, and they will go ahead and we will ask for that information, basically name, number, email address, and what the issue is. But when they arrive at the office, whether it be a walk-in or we schedule them after the phone call, they will have to fill out that sheet in person, which provides me all the other additional information, address, how did they hear about us, the type of computer, and in more detail, along with a signature. And that's the biggest piece here, is because, as I mentioned with the work release and as far as liability, without that signature of them agreeing to work with us in the way that our process is, you kind of put yourself in a bad position without having that. So that's why we love using that the form over from the Computer Business Toolkit over from TechNibble as well.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of questions in that email, and you covered them. So that's good. So yeah, it sounds like Brian is just trying to get a handle of the entire process of requesting service, dropping off the computer, making sure everything's covered and legit and legally covered, and you got all your T's crossed and your I's dotted and that sort of thing. So
Yep.
So I got links to the we'll have links to both the Computer Business Kit and also the Regis office rental that you use. And if you guys want to check out that previous episode, it was episode 28 of the podcast where I interviewed Paco about how he has all his business set up with the virtual office and all that stuff. So check that out if you want to get more details about that. So if you guys have feedback for the show, send us an email. You could send Paco an email. He gave his email address there earlier, or you can just send one to the podcast at computerbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. If you send an email there, you can address it to either me or Paco or both of us or none of us, but we'll be sure to answer your question the best we can on the show. So we appreciate getting your feedback, and you can check out the show notes to get the links to everything we've mentioned at computerbusinesspodcast.com/episode 38. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the featured topic.
And now, the feature topic.
All right, before we jump into the feature topic today, I wanted to give a shout out to our first sponsor, which is Kabuto. Now, Kabuto has been a longtime sponsor of ours, and they're continuing their sponsorship through 2016. So we're glad to have the guys from Repair Tech back with Kabuto, which is a little piece of software that helps your clients request service when they have issues. So it's basically a way to bring your clients coming back to you anytime they have an issue. It's a cool bridge between just doing break fix and doing some kind of managed service. It's kind of a go-between where you don't necessarily have to have a full-on monitoring and patch management software on your client's computer. Instead, you can just install Kabuto, which will not only notify your client when there's an issue, but then it'll also notify you when your client is having an issue. And when your client has an issue, they'll see a little pop-up on their screen. It'll say, hey, we notice you're having a problem. Why don't you give so-and-so computer repair a call, which will be your business. And it'll have your business logo. It'll have your hours. It'll have your number. So they can give you a quick call when there's something wrong, and then you can help them fix that issue. So that's a great way to increase customer loyalty, get more leads. You can resell it as a managed service, which is a good way to kind of ease your customers into a managed service relationship with you. The Windows app will detect issues and it will notify your client of those issues. And then you can go online and manage all of your clients from a central interface. Kabuto detects all kinds of issues too. Virus issues. They just recently partnered with MCSoft, so they're going to be providing some managed antivirus with them. They also can detect Windows errors and anything that can be causing problems on your client's computers. Kabuto can help you detect it. So check all of that out at kabuto.io. Help bring customers back to your repair shop with Kabuto, and that's brought to you by the folks at Repair Tech. All right, so we're going to jump into the featured topic today, which is all about setting goals for the new year. So this is something I like to do every year. There's really, some people say, what's the point of setting goals at the new year? There's no real reason to do it. It's just an arbitrary number. There's no purpose of setting goals, whatever. But it's good to set goals, and it's good to have some kind of benchmark to set your goals by. So why not have it be the beginning of the year? So I like to set goals. Like last year, I had a theme that I had throughout the entire year. This year, I have a theme as well. So I just wanted to have both Paco and I talk about our goals, what we have in store for our businesses this year. So I'll let Paco go ahead and get started with that.
Sure. So kind of on our side, all of 2015, it was basically our full second year in business, and it was really helping us test on some things, figure out what we want to do. Now that we've kind of got a feel for kind of everything we kind of dabbled in, now in 2016, we're really looking into doing a lot of measurement and automation. And by doing that, we are going to start introducing a couple new things. We're going to be doing some new email campaigns. We're going to start trying to gain a lot more leads instead of just hoping to come in with the Google AdWords and that sort of marketing. So we're planning to do that. And the way we're planning to do that is we are planning to use MailChimp. MailChimp is the mailing system that we're using that integrates right into Repair Shopper. So any clients that we happen to add in, we can help send out newsletters and keeping everybody informed of what's kind of going on as far as the trends. But MailChimp also has a sign-up form that you can embed on your website. And if you happen to, offer something as simple as, sign up for some tips, tricks, and things that will allow to make your computer faster, more efficient, etc. It's a real good way to kind of generate those leads. Now, for me, I'm a big person of I want to learn something before I delegate it, and which is why you hear me on the show. I always mention that I'm looking into something new, and then I kind of don't expand on it because we're looking into it. We kind of get a good understanding of it, and then I kind of delegate it over to a member of our team. And the email campaign is nothing different, but how was I going to be able to learn the email campaign? Because there's so many mail tools out there, and I really wanted to understand what was going to be the most beneficial and the most cost effective for our business. So we chose MailChimp, and there's a free Udemy course. And I know I've mentioned Udemy before, and I'll have that link in the show notes that literally will walk you through the comparison of MailChimp and Aweber is the one they've chose to compare it with, and how to use both of these systems once you've made a choice between the two. So I'm in the middle of that course right now. So far, it's been very informative. It's been really helpful. And it's really showing us some things that we didn't know about MailChimp in the first place. And that's really what I wanted to get the most of it, because I really wanted to understand what we can do with this tool before we moved on and kind of executed the email campaign.
So do you currently send a newsletter out to your clients?
I do send a newsletter out, but it's more of a manual or scheduled, and it's more of informative. So, basically being if it's a certain theme, whether it be like kind of like when the whole Back to the Future was going on, we kind of tied that into our, make sure you back up and introducing our trial with Carbonite. We had other times where we would go ahead and just, happy holidays. Hey, it's springtime. If you want to go ahead and have a free tune-up along with, this promotion, and just sending out great information as far as, hey, this is the things you may want to take a look at. Hey, Windows 10 has come out. And so what we did was we segmented some of our lists where our consumers, we kind of told them, hold off a little bit. If you do feel anxious to upgrade, let us know. For our businesses, we kind of told them to hold off for at least 3-4 months so that some of their custom software can kind of catch up with the OS. So that's kind of how our newsletters have been so far. But we're looking to get it a little bit more in tuned and really more informative as we move forward with what's going on with the tech world and other things that are going on.
Cool. Yeah, that's I think a key part of everyone's business plan, or outreach plan or client engagement plan or whatever you want to call it, is maybe social media, and physically mailing out something maybe, but definitely the newsletter is a great way to keep your clients engaged with you and keep them, interested in your business and provide value, which is definitely something you want to keep doing. The one way to really take like a client who just visits you every now and then and convert them into a raving fan of your business who recommends you to all of their friends and family, and who would, give their firstborn child to to keep working with you, is, if you provide free value, free little things like a newsletter. You send them articles, you send them tips, you totally for free, no, expectation of anything coming back from them. And that's this kind of thing that you do to really build customer loyalty. And that's gonna be cool. So I look forward to hearing about how you implement that and how that works out for you.
Yeah, and you made a good point as far as the being able to be personable. And one of the things that we do is, again, as I mentioned, we use Repair Shopper, and they have an audit. If you sign up with their one of their packages, they have a marketer plugin that does a lot of the email marketing. And the reason why there's a big difference between the two is because we feel that there's a lot more good stats in MailChimp than what we can get from Repair Shopper, but they have these automated emails that will go out upon the closure of a ticket. And we love those because what they have two by default that will check in with the customer 2 weeks after the client has, we've closed a ticket for that customer, checking in, seeing how the computer is working. And then they have a 90-day one that checks in with the customer to see how's everything going. It's been 3 months. Let us know if we have if you have any issues. And what I did was I added two more. I added one that was 2 days after the ticket was closed, and it's basically a personal email that comes from me because everything that I communicate from any clients is our support team, and because there's numerous people that they may be working with. But the first email 2 days after will be a personal email from me that says I thank them for their service or for their support, and there's a little link that we created for a SurveyMonkey, which is the other software or SaaS or software that we use on the West Cloud that allows us to create a free website, a free survey for them to answer. And it's literally 3 questions. And we ask them to answer this so that we can improve our customer service. We feel that way it kind of helps us filter out if there was any bad service. So that way we can kind of grab that and speak with them. And also if they have any good things to say, it's really good to hear those good things that they have to say about our team, any specific members, or just the experience that they had with us. And then the second email that I add is the year email. And this is the bigger piece of what I wanted to bring up, is sending an email a year after the ticket has been closed. Wow. And the email basically just says, hey, it's been a year since we saw you. We hope everything is working great with the computer. If not, why don't we schedule a tune-up? Feel free to let us know. And just that alone, and again, it's all automated. So you don't have to think about this, worrying about, okay, who are my customers that I sent last year? I want to send them something personable. If you don't have the means or just don't have the resources, this great automated way of doing it allows us to have replies to this email saying that they're interested in the tune up, and you got your returning customers asking for more help and for you to be able to give them that great service.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great tip, is to, even if it, a year later, circle back around with your past clients. And a lot of times they don't even realize that they had an issue that they wanted to bring up to you, or they've been too busy or something. And that's a great way to drum up some business again.
Yeah. And then, so a couple of the other things real quick, that what we're doing is we're going to do more networking events. We want to start exploring a lot more small businesses. So we use a website called Eventbrite. They have a lot of business events, whether it be networking, expos, things of that nature. That's where I found the Small Business Expo last year. And I will be attending that again this year, which is in April in Chicago. And it really helps to kind of get along, just to see just other people and physically being out there. And that's something that I wanted to key off what Matt said earlier is, being able to go out there, shake some hands, and you may be able to find a couple great customers. You may be able to find a couple great resources.
Now, is that a local thing?
Eventbrite is a national website that allows you to plug in your zip code or city, but it will bring local events that are in your area.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, the Small Business Expo that I mentioned for Chicago, that will be for the Chicago area in April. However, they do have quite a few of them, whether it be in New York, Dallas, Washington, etc.
Gotcha.
They do have quite a bit of them in that same avenue, but that's just one company or group or organization that I look forward to doing. Another one is Network After Work, which I've mentioned before. That's a networking event that I tend to go to as well. So networking is a very big piece. And it allowed us to speak with one colleague of ours that referred us to a new marketing agency that we're going to talk to as well. We're still in the beginning phases of it. We like what they have to offer. If we do decide to move forward with them and everything is going great, I will circle back with you guys and kind of let you guys know about this great resource as far as that's concerned. So we're looking to improve some of our stuff there, our website copy, our branding, things of that nature, because we want to make sure our message is hitting to the customer the right way.
Yeah, and you spoke about messaging as being a big thing you were focusing on last year. And I think, you can only take that so far, not being a marketer or not being someone who's in that space. You can try to craft your message as much as possible. But if you haven't been, studying the discipline of copywriting and stuff like that, you can only take it so far. So then, you come to the point where you want to hire outside help to help you with that. And I think that's a good move to make, is to work with a marketing agency to try to really bring their expertise into crafting your message.
Yep, exactly like you said. Just not being able to have the time or the resources to be able to put out the right messaging. And then in general, just sometimes maybe you have the thought, you have the message you want to say, but you just can't formulate that in the right words or phrase that would really connect to the customer. And you only have that one shot with those first 60 seconds, or even that, when a person goes onto your website. And that's my biggest thing, is I want to be able to, really connect with the customer right up front, and being able to see how human and how personal and how impactful we'll be with their system, with their services, and with their business. Along with any residential customers that really need to make sure that we take care of them through the entire process. So that was one of our biggest things. And then, just like I mentioned before, is the automation, really writing down our processes, making sure we have our book. All the documentation I've written down 3 years ago. Oh, no, actually a lie. It was actually 4 years ago. When I founded the business, not when we officially started doing business. I had all this paperwork, all these handbooks, training documents, and they have all just been obsolete. And this is a year where
right.
We're going to just start from scratch, rewrite them. I got a great team with me, and we're just going to start getting our process done, looking how we can scale out our tools, and really getting that good foundation before we start getting scaling up and start doing more. We want to tighten down. We're really trying to get drive home what we're trying to the message of what we're trying to do.
Cool. Sounds like it's going to be an exciting year, and exciting for you and exciting for the listeners, because we're going to hear all about what you learn and what you implement and how it works for you. And that's the beauty of the show, is we get to kind of take the ride along with you and see how it goes. You're kind of at the point where I was when I decided to make the transition to taking my business full time. So maybe that might be in the cards for you this year.
Yep. It's the hope. It's the hope that it's going to be 2016. I made a promise to myself 2 years ago that this would be the year. I'm hoping to hold up to that promise. So definitely we'll be keeping everybody up to date when that will happen. And I will make sure you guys are the first to know before everyone else on when that is actually going to happen, just because I just love you guys. That's just how it is.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a good goal. And like any goal, if you don't achieve it, that's fine. It's just something to shoot for, something to strive for, but life can get in the way, or you could hit bumps in the road, or something could turn out not working how you thought it would.
Right.
And so I think the big thing to keep in mind is just to always be flexible, always be persistent, and always be learning. So if you do make a mistake or something doesn't quite work out, just try to figure out why it didn't work out, change your strategy, and keep pushing forward. That's, I think, one of the number one things I've learned since I've been an entrepreneur is you can plan all you want, but sometimes those plans don't work out, and you just got to kind of refocus or change your focus, or pivot your business, and keep driving forward, keep being persistent. And normally, when you're persistent and you're smart about it, you can get through any bad times and come out the other side successful.
Right. Yep. No, it's exactly like a good friend, Andy Kiros, always told me, who's another fellow tech over at Green Tech. You always have to learn to adapt. That's basically what you have to do in life and anything with business. And if you can't figure out how to adapt, you're going to be left behind.
Definitely. And we've heard from plenty of computer business owners who struggle with that. And I think we all struggle with that. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to kind of together pull each other out of those bogs, or those trenches that we find ourselves in, and help each other keep moving forward. Cool. So awesome. So let me jump into what I'm going to be doing for 2016. So first of all, in 2015, I set I wrote down some goals that I wanted to accomplish for myself in my business, and I had 4 main big goals that I wanted to achieve by the end of the year, and I actually only achieved 2 of them. And that, again, that's okay, because I just only really had the bandwidth. I actually ended up being a lot busier in just my, my client work. And that kind of got in the way of achieving some of my big picture goals. But, one of the goals was to release the new version of TechSite Builder. And I did finally get around to doing that. So that was a big deal for me. And looking over at my sheet here, the other goal was, of course, to transition my business to full-time WordPress consulting. And so I did that by launching Alador and basically just letting Jiffy PC fade away. So it technically still exists, but I'm not promoting it. And all of my clients for Jiffy PC have either been transitioned over to Alador, or have been transitioned to other people, or they just kind of fell away. They knew that I wasn't going to be doing computer work anymore, and so they just went off on their own and found someone else. So those were the 2 big goals that I accomplished. I had a couple other goals that were more around like YFNCG, doing some new stuff with YFNCG. And I wanted to launch a WordPress podcast. That was the other big goal I had last year that didn't happen. So I'm definitely rolling those over to this year. So one of the big things I want to do this year is launch a WordPress podcast. I'm trying to decide what approach I want to take. Do I want to, and I might do all of the above eventually, but I either have a couple ideas for a podcast I want to do around WordPress. One of those being as a WordPress consultant, actually talking about my experience being a WordPress consultant, and kind of like if you guys listen to the Mike Tech show, how he, he's a computer business owner, he's a computer tech, and he talks the Mike Tech show is him basically talking about his week and the things he did that week and the clients he's had and how he handles certain problems and stuff like that. And he'll answer questions from other computer business owners. So I'm thinking of maybe starting a podcast like that where I talk about being a WordPress consultant, some of the issues I run into, how I handle certain problems, very specific to WordPress. So it can get technical, kind of like the Mike Tech Show can get technical about certain things technologies that he uses and how he figures out problems and stuff like that. So I think that would be a pretty cool podcast to do around WordPress. I was also thinking about having a more user-focused podcast. So something like if you were a computer business owner and you had a podcast about, how to run an efficient computer, how to remove viruses on your own computer, from an end user perspective. I'm thinking of having a WordPress podcast for people who use WordPress but don't necessarily develop for it or, sell their services for WordPress. But talking about different plugins people can use, talking about how you can use WordPress to build your business, to change your website, talk about little tips and tricks on how to do certain things within WordPress, talk about WordPress news, that sort of thing. That's another idea I have for a podcast. A third idea I had for a WordPress podcast is to do a daily question and answer show. There's a couple of podcasts that I listen to that do this. They're focused more around just small business or marketing. But I think it would be cool to have just one question a day. I ask for listeners to send in a question, and every day, Monday through Friday, so 5 days a week, I would just answer one question every day about WordPress. So it could be anything that anybody asks about, what plugin do I recommend? How do I do this or that? What's a trick to do this or that in WordPress? I'd have to make sure that I'd probably start that one later because I'd want to have a listener base to be able to pull questions from, and that would come from one of those other two podcasts first. But I think it would be cool, and it would be really good promotion for Alador having a daily WordPress podcast, because that's something that people would, tune into regularly. They know there's always going to be fresh content. It's quick, so it's not going to take too much of my time to answer a question every day. I could batch all the episodes in one day, so I could record the full week's podcast episodes on, Friday afternoon or something, and then, release them out over the next week. And then every episode, I would say this episode is brought to you by Alador WordPress Consulting. If you have, issues that I can't answer on the podcast, contact me at Alador. And I think that would be a really cool way to kind of like a newsletter, to get existing clients to stay engaged with me, and to get new clients to really trust me as someone who knows what I'm talking about, who's helpful. And I think that would also be a cool idea for anyone listening who, has maybe been thinking about starting a podcast. A type of podcast you can start that isn't really very resource or time intensive is to just do a question and answer podcast. You don't have to do it daily. You can do it weekly or something like that. And just, send me your computer problems and I'll answer as many as I can on the podcast. I don't know of many out there that are like that. That are, it's like Leo Laporte has his Tech Guy radio show that he does where people call in with tech issues, but that's like a live show. But you can have more of just send me an email or leave a voice message with your question and I'll answer it on the podcast. I think that'd be really cool for folks to try. And so I think I might try that with my WordPress business as well. So, I got 3 different podcast ideas. I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with first, but I definitely want to launch one this year. Now that I have Paco helping me out with the computer business podcast, that kind of frees me up to have some bandwidth to maybe start another podcast. So we'll see how that goes.
I like it.
Good. Good. It's got the Paco seal of approval. So that means I'm going to move forward for sure. So I wanted to come back around and talk about my theme for 2016. So last year the theme was what was
Focus.
the theme? Focus. That's right. I'm so looking at this year that I already forgot what last year was.
Yeah, that's checked off the bucket list. We're gonna move
So
forward
2015. So focus was my theme for last year. This year, my theme is going to be growth. So I really was able to focus in on creating a WordPress consulting business, niching down to a narrow niche of service. And I also focused in on creating Tech Site Builder, making that the best I can be. And I've also focused in on YFNCG and the Computer Business Podcast and making those be a great resource for computer business owners. So I have those three things, those three projects, businesses, whatever you want to call them, that I have going. Now this year is all going to be about growing those to taking them to the next level, making them the best they can be. Really trying to get more clients in to all three of those, to get more people, not necessarily clients, not necessarily people paying me for services, but just, followers, fans, whatever you want to call them. Just get to growing my pool of people who know about these services, who follow these services. Because once you have people following you, then once they eventually do need some kind of resource or some kind of service or some kind of help from you down the road, you'll without question will be the person that they'll go to for that, and they'll gladly pay you for it. So this year is all about growth. I think I have a good foundation set. Now I'm going to grow on that foundation. So specifically how I'm going to apply that to my businesses this year. For Alador, that's going to mean growing my content through podcasting. And I consider content anything you put out to the world for free. So that can be blog posts, that could be podcasts, that could be webinars. Webinars is something I'm really going to focus on this year as well. I think that's a great way to grow your client base and to grow your loyalty. So I'm going to be doing some WordPress webinars, and free webinars, maybe top 10 plugins for blah, 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 or how to secure your WordPress website, free hour webinars that I will advertise on Facebook and social media and all the existing ways that you get the word out for things, and use that to grow my followers. I'll grab people's emails when they sign up for the webinar, and then I'll be able to keep in contact with those guys and let them know, I'm here to help you if you need it in the future. I'm excited to experiment with webinars this year, especially after interviewing David Sims a couple episodes ago, and all of the cool insights he has onto how to set up the webinars and all the services you can use and stuff like that. So I'm really going to expand my podcasting and webinars this year. Also, some other things I'm going to grow with Alador is I'm going to use networking. So kind of going back to what Paco talked about, getting out there, going to conferences, going to meetups, that sort of thing, using those as opportunities to meet other business owners, other WordPress users, other computer business owners, and just growing my network that way as well. Another way I'm going to grow is through teaching. And that's something that I've mentioned in the past is something that I enjoy doing, especially with WordPress. And I'm going to be pushing that a lot this year, both with the free webinars and also premium courses. I'm already in talks with a couple of my clients to have a WordPress developer class where I'm going to actually rent out a classroom or like an office or something like that and give them a class on WordPress development. So, I'll talk about how that works out, because that's something that anybody can do with any computer topic, whether it is a free class or you can, explore charging for classes to your clients as well. Charging for especially classes like for business owners who want to expand their knowledge of certain aspects of earning more money using technology. For example, maybe you can talk about POS systems, how to accept credit cards through the computer, how to keep credit card information safe, that sort of thing. You could pitch classes like that to your business clients as ways for them to learn about computer issues from the horse's mouth, from the guy that they get their IT services from. So that's something you guys can explore. That's something I'm going to be exploring. Also things like teaching via YouTube videos, online classes, webinars, that sort of thing. So growth for my business this year means growing through content, through networking, and through teaching. Those are the three things that I'm going to work on to grow my client base for Alador. That's basically it, right? I don't want to get too overwhelmed with planning a bunch of stuff. So when I have a theme of growth, I'm going to concentrate on growing my client base and my followers. How I do that is through those three things: content, networking, and teaching. And I think I'll just concentrate on making those the best they can be for Alador. Now, that's the theme, right? But I need a way to track if this stuff is actually working and if it's actually improving my business. And really the only way to track if your business is improving is to track your revenue. So I'm going to come up, what I'm planning on doing is sitting down over the next few days and coming up with revenue goals. And I've never done this before. So this will be new for me in my business, is having revenue goals every quarter. So actually, first of all, I'm going to have a revenue goal for the year. So I look back at what I made 2 years ago at the end of the year. Then I looked back at this year and what my revenue was at the end of this year. And, I've grown maybe it was about 30% year over year from the previous year. So I'm probably going to try to push that a little bit this year and maybe try for a 40% growth. And then so that'll give me my year-end revenue goal. And then from there, I'm going to split it up into quarters so that I can keep track of if I'm meeting the goal progressively through the quarters. So the first quarter, I'm going to have a revenue goal, and I'm actually going to even split it up further. I'm going to split it up into recurring clients and projects. So I'm going to have a revenue goal for like new projects or ongoing projects, and a revenue goal for recurring revenue through service plans and that sort of thing. That way I can see, what I need to focus more on. Like if I've grown my recurring business pretty well, and that's taken me closer to my revenue goals, but I'm not quite meeting it. That means, and I feel like I've maxed out as much as I can as far as pushing the recurring services, then I'm going to concentrate on getting new projects or maybe increasing the prices of the projects that I have moving forward. So that'll give me kind of a good way to measure exactly what I need to focus on as far as growth so that I can meet my revenue goals for the quarters and for the year.
So let me ask you, as far as for our listeners, in case they're trying to kind of make sense as far as what happened as far as in their previous year, 2 years ago, so they can kind of get an idea of what they want to do moving forward. Are you tracking this through some type of software similar to like a QuickBooks, a Wave, or using an Excel spreadsheet like another host of another podcast who will remain nameless for using an Excel spreadsheet, and he'll know who he is. But yes, so it's one of those, I just could be curious as far as where are you pulling these numbers in. For those who may be doing this manually, what would be a good way of maybe loading these numbers so that maybe in the next year or the next couple months, they can kind of get a better idea of where to pull these type of numbers?
Great question. Yeah. And this idea for revenue goals comes as a result of having an automated system set up where I can track my income and my expenses and have all of that very visible to me so that I can see it. And then I can say, oh, I made this much revenue and this much profit and loss and that kind of thing. And so, QuickBooks is definitely the most popular one, and that's what a lot of folks use. I know QuickBooks Online is very popular, and it's something that probably if I would have started my business now, I would have set it up with QuickBooks Online because it's powerful, but it's also a lot easier to use than the QuickBooks like desktop application.
Yep.
So that is definitely an option for folks. What I use is GoDaddy Bookkeeping, which I've mentioned before, and it used to be called Outright, and then Outright was purchased by GoDaddy, and so now it's GoDaddy Bookkeeping, and it's real simple. You connect it to your bank accounts. I have it connected to like my PayPal, my Stripe, and my checking account for my business, and it tracks all the transactions that go through those different accounts, and then it slowly learns what each thing should be categorized. But of course, every month I go in and just check all the previous month's transactions, and sometimes I have to recategorize things, and it usually takes me 30 minutes to an hour to do that once a month. No big deal. And then it keeps track of all that stuff so that every quarter I'll be able to go in and check, and it has a slick reporting where you can just say, show me by quarter my revenue or my profit and loss, and it shows you in a nice little graph so you can see what things are looking like, and it's very visual. So that's what I use. There are a lot of other tools out there that you can use, and I think the point is to get it automated. I think using an Excel spreadsheet is good. It's fine. It works. And it's probably good, if you're part-time, you can do that because you don't have as many transactions going through as you would if you're working full-time. But once you're working full time, or if you have aspirations of doing this thing full time, I definitely recommend getting some sort of bookkeeping automation going on. There's programs out there now where you don't really need a bookkeeper to be in your books day after day. You can really use these software programs, get them set up, and then let them run.
Yep.
And it can give you a window into your finances to help you make these kind of plans.
Yep. So we use QuickBooks Online because of the same reason. We actually were planning to figure out how are we going to get this to the right people. So we have our accountant, we have our bookkeeper, and it was just going to be way too complicated to try and get a QuickBooks desktop on the machines to then try and get them access for the information. But before we move to QuickBooks Online, there is a free accounting software similar to QuickBooks that Google actually had highlighted as being one of the best free alternatives to QuickBooks, and that is Wave. And you can find them over at waveapps.com. And they function similarly to a QuickBooks. And again, we were running our system. We were using, we were running our business through Wave for many years until we had hooked up with our accountant. And because of the experience and just being able to understand the Wave system versus what she was used to, we decided to make that move to QuickBooks. And also it integrated with our Repair Shopper system, which
Nice.
is what made it even more for us to switch over to QuickBooks. But for those who are starting out, and again, that just don't have the resources maybe right now to dedicate to an accounting software or system, Wave Apps would probably be a very good option for you. And especially for those that are on the Google Apps realm, it allows for single sign-on in case you're kind of automating that type of workflow as well for your users.
Sweet. Yeah, cool. Definitely one to check out. I can't recommend enough automating that whole bookkeeping process so that not only you just one less thing you have to worry about, but it's also really helps you to plan and have a good overview of how your business is doing.
Yep.
Okay, so that's my business. That's the theme for my business. Those are the goals I have. I have revenue goals. I'm not going to share the revenue goals, but I'll let you know. I'll be sure to keep you guys posted on how I'm doing in meeting those. And so that's going to be exciting. Also, I just wanted to touch on really quick before we leave the featured topic. I wanted to talk about some of the future plans we have for your friendly neighborhood computer guy and the Computer Business Podcast. So we're definitely spending some time at the beginning of the year now planning out our strategy moving forward for these things. Our primary goal is to provide as much value as we can to you guys, our listeners, and really, help you in whatever issues you're having. So along those lines, I don't have it set up yet, but keep an eye out in the newsletter, and also the next podcast episode will let you know. We'll have a link to a survey that we're going to send out to get feedback from you all to understand, what you like that we're doing, what you don't like that we're doing, what you wish we would be doing, and just in general, what your business looks like, how your business is doing, and what you're struggling with. Because we really want to focus on helping you to overcome anything you're struggling with in your business this year. And that survey is going to help us understand that. So keep an eye out for a link to a survey. But I'm going to keep the theme of growth going through your friendly neighborhood computer guy, YFNCG.com. So with that, we're going to focus a lot of our content for you guys this year on growth. So up to this point, your friendly neighborhood computer guy and the Computer Business podcast has been a good resource for learning how to start a computer business and really get your computer business going, from part-time to full-time. And then once you're to full-time, to kind of get it going so that you can have a legitimate business running. Now, I think, most of you guys, if you're listening to the podcast, you're at that point now. Or if you're just starting your business, you're just listening to the podcast or just joining us on your friendly neighborhood computer guy, you have tons of posts and resources you can go back to and listen and read and get up to speed with how to start a computer business. So now we're going to focus more of our content on growth. That is the theme this year, and I want that to be the theme for your friendly neighborhood computer guy as well. So we're going to talk about growth as far as, how to take your computer business to the next level, how to take it from a mom and pop repair shop, barely making ends meet, to, being a thriving, successful computer business, whether that means being a solo technician, whether that means hiring, whether that means moving over to MSP services or not. We just want to help you grow to the next level. So some things we're going to be talking about are, how to streamline your processes, how to automate tasks. Automation is a big key to growth. And also how to outsource, when to outsource, how to hire, when to hire. Those are some of the things we're going to be focusing on. We're going to be focusing on the tools and the services that can help you with a lot of this stuff, help you automate some tasks, help you streamline your processes. Hopefully by the end of 2016, everyone who is following your friendly neighborhood computer guy will have a well-oiled computer business that is automated, that is streamlined, and that you can grow without growing the amount of work that you need to do. That's the big thing, right? You want to grow your business without necessarily, needing to grow the hours you work by working nights or working weekends or whatever. So both Paco and I have some ideas about what to do with that. We're going to be writing blog posts. We're going to be having guests on the podcast that are really going to help you guys grow your businesses in 2016. Also with the Tech Site Builder, that is the other project I have that hopefully will help you guys as well. I'm going to work on, again, helping you guys learn how to optimize your website, how to grow your client base through your website, through things like SEO, through creating content in your blog on your website. I really want to make Tech Site Builder not only a destination for you to go to build a website for your computer business, but also a destination you can go to learn about how to make your website better, whether it's a Tech Site Builder website or whether it's a website that you have through some other means or whether it's a website you built yourself. There's still lots of things you can learn about how to make a very effective computer business website. So head on over to Tech Site Builder. Soon I'm going to have a way for you to follow Tech Site Builder. So right now, if you go to Tech Site Builder, all you can really do is purchase the Tech Site Builder service. But stay tuned with the podcast. We're going to have a way for you to follow and sign up for Tech Site Builder updates, where you'll then know when we come out with webinars and videos and blog posts, and they're all going to be themed around how to grow your business through your website. So I'm really excited to kind of start expanding on the Tech Site Builder brand, on making that the destination to go to learn how to grow your computer business website. So that is what I got planned for 2016. Both Paco and I got some great plans for you, both in our businesses and in what we're going to share with you through the podcast and the blog. All right. Before we jump into the computer business tool for this episode, we actually have a second sponsor now for the Computer Business Podcast. And we're real excited to bring on this second sponsor. They're a great company, and we're looking forward to introducing you guys to them. Our sponsor is IT Pro TV. And IT Pro TV is a video tutorial website where you can go to learn about technical computer related information. Like they mostly focus on certifications. So you could learn certifications, around, of course, the CompTIA certifications, around Microsoft certifications, around Cisco certifications. They got tons of courses for you to choose from on their website, over 1,000 hours of content. So whether you're looking to jumpstart a career in IT, so say you're listening to this podcast because you're interested in IT, or you're looking to transition from another career field into computer business ownership or computer technology or working on computers, ITV Pro TV can supplement any of the traditional learning methods with fun and engaging videos that helps you learn and prepare for certification exams. IT Pro TV has now over 30,000 members in over 75 countries. So they cater to countries all over the world. There's over 1,000 hours of content they record in 2 studios, and 50 hours of content's being added every week to their list of courses. So what they do is they stream the courses live, so you can actually tune into the courses live as they're happening. Or if you're a paid member, you can play back the courses as many times as you want. You can live stream them on demand worldwide, or you can even stream them to your Chromecast, to your mobile devices. They have iOS apps, Roku app, so you can stream the content to your TV if you want. Tons of stuff you can do on IT Pro TV. It's a great place to go to learn, take yourself, take your business, take your employees, so you can get an account for your business where you can have your employees learning this technical stuff if you want your employees to grow and learn more. So check out itpro.tv is the website, and upgrade your brain with the most popular IT certifications recognized by employers and in the computer business field. Subscriptions are normally $57 per month or $570 for the entire year. But we here at the Computer Business Podcast have a special offer for you guys listening. You're going to get a free 7-day trial when you sign up using our offer code CBP30. And that's capital C, capital B, capital P, 30. Use that offer code when you sign up, and that will allow you to check out their courses, their live stream, and everything that you get as a paid member for free. Once you decide to sign up, you'll also receive 30% off your subscription for the lifetime of your account. That is the best deal we've had on the podcast so far. So that's basically less than $40 per month, or just $399 for the entire year. Just make sure you use the code CBP30 when you check out at itpro.tv to try it free for 7 days and receive 30% off. We thank IT Pro TV for being the newest addition to the sponsor family of the Computer Business Podcast, and they got great quality videos there that you guys have to check out for sure. All right, let's jump into the Computer Business Tool.
It's time to open the Computer Business Toolbox.
All right, for the Computer Business Tool, this week, Paco has I think it was a Christmas gift, right? Yep. That you wanted to talk about.
So one of the other items that I got was a Dymo label writer, and specifically it's the label writer 450. And again, it was one of those things that was on my wish list. I needed it for my business because oftentimes where now I've gotten to the point where I will get a steady flow of laptops or devices that come in, and one of my biggest worries were if I were to misplace equipment with what came in. So for example, adapters with laptops, cords with the desktops, external hard drives with what was dropped off, things of that nature. And it actually ended up happening to me once where I had 2 Dell laptops that I was working on, and I swapped the cords, and as the customer went to pick it up, noticed that she had the wrong cord. So, due to an embarrassment of our own, I wanted to set out and make sure that I avoided this. So what I did was, so I ended up getting this Dymo label writer, 450, and it hooks up into Repair Shopper. And the great thing about this is once you have it configured into your Google Cloud Print, it will allow you to print either a customer label or a ticket label. And the differences between the two is the ticket label will give you the ticket number. It'll have your spiffy logo on there, the type of ticket, and the customer's information with a nice barcode. Whereas the customer label will give your company's info, the customer's info, and a barcode. And the reason why I wanted this was so that I wouldn't have this situation happen again. So now I can print 2 copies of these labels, put one underneath the COA and one on the adapter of the laptop. So that way I would avoid any mix up, and also I can make sure that the both are matching together once we give them out to the customer. So it's been a great tool. Been testing it out lately. Love it. And it's really cool in the way that Repair Shopper has this hooked up to the label writer from Dymo.
So is that one of those standalone things where it has like a little keyboard on it that you can type?
No, actually, it's literally like a little mini label printer. So you have to connect this to USB to a laptop or a desktop and load the Dymo software so that it can install the drivers. Once you've done that, you would just associate it with Google Cloud Print through either a Google Chrome browser or logging into the Google Cloud Print section. And then you would configure it through Repair Shopper. And Repair Shopper has a really great article on how to get this all set up. But no, it's a little mini printer, as if you were to have like a little photo printer. It'd be the same similar aspect of it, but you would load the labels in. They give you a starter label set with it, but you can order them. And so this is the 450 model, not to be confused with the turbo or the dual model. It's just the label writer 450 is the one that connects to my Repair Shopper CRM.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, if your theme this year for your business is maybe organization,
oh yeah,
then this would be a good one to use to get organized. And I know when I was first starting my computer business, I would be collecting laptops and desktops and power cords and mice and all this stuff from different clients, and it'd be hard to keep it all organized. So this would have been a godsend. And I'm sure it's definitely going to be very useful for folks listening.
Yep, especially with the company information on the label as well. So if they run into any problems, they happen to take a look at the label that's on either on their adapter or on their PC. They remember who they took it to last, and a better chance of you getting right in their face without even knowing to kind of bring that back into you.
Right. Yeah. And you sent me a picture of what the labels look like when they're printed out, and it looks very, very professional, very slick, and a good way to have your business information there on their equipment, so they can always reach back out to you. Cool. Great. So thanks for that computer business tool, Paco. So that's going to do it for this edition of the Computer Business Podcast, another jam-packed episode. Let's keep the conversation going. So if you guys want to let us know what your theme for this year is going to be, please go over to computerbusinesspodcast.com/episode 38 and let us know what you think. Let us know what your theme is going to be. Or, maybe just give us feedback on what our themes are or what our goals are. And we could kind of have a little conversation about our goals and setting goals and helping keep each other accountable. Because that's another big thing when you're setting goals, is you want to tell people about the goals so that people can, later on in the year can say, hey, how's your goal, so-and-so goal going? Are you getting there? How are you progressing? And that's the whole reason why Paco and I are telling you our goals, so that you guys can make sure that we check in with you every now and then throughout the year and let you know how our goals are going. And that helps us stick with them. So reach out to us there, or you can send questions and feedback to computerbusinesspodcast@gmail.com, or just visit the website at computerbusinesspodcast.com. Another reminder, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. We have links to all of our social media profiles on the show notes page.
Yep, we're everywhere. So if you want, you got that avenue, find us and you'll get a hold of us.
Cannot escape us.
And guys, if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, be sure to give us a shout out and leave a review. As always, we love hearing your feedback, and every comment that you leave helps us ranking in the iTunes store so that the podcast can be found and we can better help other techs that are out there. And if you haven't already, you guys have been great on doing this. Please use our Amazon link to purchase your next order of equipment for your business. Now that we got the holidays out of the way and you're really starting to bunker down and plan out what you're doing as far as equipment and things that you may need for the coming year, we have an Amazon banner at the bottom of the show notes page, or you could just go directly to computerbusinesspodcast.com/support. When you use the link, just remember your price always stays the same, but a small percentage does come to us to support the show.
And finally, don't forget to check out our sponsors, RepairTechSolutions.com and Kabuto.io, and also ITPro.tv. Thank you guys for listening to the Computer Business Podcast. This is Matthew Rodella.
And this is Paco LeBron.
Saying here's to your success.
1,